It is the next day. We're going to move today. And before we move, I'll check the engine. It's kind of a morning routine thing to do. And I'll check the belts. I have 2 belts on this engine. It's a Yanmar 3GM, freshwater cooled. So I'll check the belts, and I check to make sure the tension is good, but I also check for any spots that might look a bit worn or cracked. And I'll check the oil level and then also the coolant level, and then we'll start it up. There's gearbox oil as well in the back, but that doesn't need to be checked as often because it's it's just, that's how it is on engines. But it is good to check that every once in a while as well to make sure that level is good. And nothing super complicated, but it's really foggy out, and at times it's been lifting, but then it socks right in again. So we are not in a big hurry, but I thought I may as well get this going, and when it does lift, then we're ready to go. There is a bit of a blow coming in, 30 to 40 knots predicted for tonight, tomorrow. So we do want to get to the next anchorage, which says it's good in most weather conditions. So, and just looking at the position of it, we should be okay for the blow. And then it looks like it's going to change again and hopefully bring some sunshine back.
After 7.5 nautical miles, we are in Devlin Bay, which is pretty exciting to find Devlin Bay on the charts, and then really neat to be here. We were greeted by a whale just coming into the bay, though no sign of the whale since. So we arrived at Campania in a blaze of sun, left shrouded in cloud, made our way across, and you can still see Campania in the distance. And we should be safely tucked away if it does indeed blow tomorrow. The cool thing about Devlin Bay, it was not named after me, but it was named after Robert Beatty Devlin, who was from Toronto and moved out to BC, became a farmer and a miner, and I guess he moved out west in 1862. So 150 years later, I moved out this way, and now I'm visiting the place that was named after him.
And we're going to go do some exploring. I think it's called Langley Passage.
Yeah, just north of us, or right over here, is Treach Island. That used to be a radar and radio communication station. And when we go through the pass on the south side, I think it's Pryor Island? Is it Pryor
Island?
In Athelda Bay is the old caretaker's place that now I guess they're doing some shellfish aquaculture in, but there's stuff to explore around there too. So we're going to go see what we find. During the tides, the water runs through at 7 knots, so we're going to take off pretty soon so we can catch the tide in and then the tide again out.
Yeah, and it's still running in, so that should give us time to get around. It's about 3.5 miles from here. So a bit of a dingy run, and yeah, do some exploring and then ride it back out, and hopefully moonshine's still watching over Devlin Bay.
Yes. So we're now in Athalda Bay. Treach Island is over there, and can't remember the name of this one.
Prior, maybe, I think.
Prior, maybe. So this was the caretaker's residence for the people who provisioned the radio and radar communications, and you can actually see it just across the way, at the top of the hill. It looks abandoned now. There's another sailboat in here.
And we think we've seen this sailboat in Prince Rupert sometimes.
We do, yeah. We called out to say hello, but it didn't seem that anyone was there.
The hatch is open, though.
The hatch is open, so maybe they've
Maybe they have
taken
two
a boat
tenders.
to go fishing or
Yeah, they might have another tender that they're out doing something.
off to hike in the lake here. But it's kind of neat. It's always interesting to imagine the people who lived in these places and, made a life on the coast, did jobs that just aren't in existence anymore. I mean, the CBC radio signal used to come through this right here, and it supported radar in Alaska, so it went all the way from Seattle to Alaska, bouncing through here.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and so peaceful and quiet.
And the radar tower is right up there.
Binoculars make it easier to see.
Yes.
Where are you now?
We're back in Devlin Bay. There's two little channels, and the second way we took back dries out, it looks like, on the chart. So we're right at high slack. It's just starting to fall. So we thought, well, let's go through the other one while we can. And we zipped into Athalda.
Yep, Athalda Bay.
Athalda Bay. Saw that cool old abandoned house and that old sailboat that was in there. And then on the way back, we just took our time going along, poking along the shores and going through spots that dry out at low tide. And the water's really clear. I bet you we could see 30 feet down in spots. And we saw a great big otter just before we got to the Narrows here. And we thought, is that a stick? But why is the stick going the wrong direction from the current? Because they lay on their back and they have the little cute little human things with their hands. They're kind of a funny little cute animal, but very big. I was surprised how big he was. And we couldn't get too close and we didn't want to bother him too much, so we got a couple shots from a distance. But yeah, it was cool to see him in his natural habitat. Lots of really big jellyfish. They're dark red with long tentacles, so I don't want to touch one. And we always saw a whole bunch of little fish over here, a whole school of them, so that's probably what the whale was feeding on when we first came in. Still some overcast, but it's cleared right up as far as fog goes. And we have a beautiful view of Campania, those big mountains. And it's a pretty good spot. We read earlier about Campania because we're always curious on where do names come from. And Campania is from a Spanish sailor, and it means company or family. And it was a boat 1600s or 1700s?
1600s.
1600s that he was exploring here. And it's named after that skipper. So I really like Campania. I think we'll have to go back there. Maybe not this trip, but I'd like to go back again and spend a few days there next time we're out. And this is really interesting too. Once you get in through these Narrows, it's very calm. Lots of deep water, but these Narrows are a little sketchy. 7-knot current, and we're not seeing it now because we were approaching the slack when we got here, and now it's probably great slack. But a lot of rocks and things you have to avoid too. But it's marked. There's channel markers, and there is a sailboat in there, so it's possible. But we're going to stay in Devlin Bay because someone wants to stay here. Her name might be Devlin. And that's it. Go back to the boat and take it easy for a bit, I think.
Dinner.
Dinner time.
Soon.
Yeah. I have this cool little setup. It hooks up just like a fuel hose, and you just give this a few pumps and it starts a siphon, and then you can safely top up your tank without having to carry the jerry can and get the spout into the fuel hole here. And it's just a nice easy way to do it safely. So it's called Flow and Go. I'm sure if you just type in Flow and Go online, you can find out where to get one near you. But they have different sizes for different flow rates, and this is sort of a mid-sized model. They have other ones that flow faster if you have larger tanks to fill. But this just takes a few minutes, or a couple minutes, and I'll have that 5 gallons or 20 liters into my main tank. And it's almost done. So I just put the tank a little bit higher than the filler, and that makes sure that I've got a good siphon going.
So are there a lot of places on the coast to fuel up? Or is that what you bring your own?
Well, on these trips, I like to bring a little extra fuel. And even on the shorter trips, I usually have 2 of these with me. On the longer trips, I carry 3. So I have 2 that go under the seat at the back here, and then I have 1 that's stored down below. And that's done. And then there are places to fuel up, but that's all part of the route planning, is knowing where to fuel up. So we're not going to get to refuel and get more water until we get to Hartley Bay, which I think is still several days away, and maybe 5 or 6 days away from now. And while it's calm, and there's supposed to be a blow tomorrow, so I thought while it's calm, I'll do this now rather than doing it in ugly weather. And it's nice just to top up the tank every chance you can, so that you do have a full tank and you don't get in a situation where you're stuck having to motor for a long day and or extended period of time, and now you need fuel. So but yeah, there's Hartley Bay, there's Clem 2, Prince Rupert, but these are pretty great distances apart, so it is a good idea to carry extra fuel in this part of the coast, and that's why I do. What's on the menu tonight?
Tonight we are having sockeye that's been baked in with a mixture of soy sauce, ginger, garlic, brown sugar, sesame oil, and hot sauce, with rice and topped with green onions. Pretty simple, but tasty.
Well, I've been upstairs doing a few things. Then I had a quick shower.
Mm-hmm.
And the boat smells pretty amazing. And this is why.